Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Aggressive Whiskers Podcast. This week is episode 10. And interestingly enough, I'm going to record this introduction before BRET does the podcast, so I have absolutely no earthly idea what he's going to talk about in order to give you a recap in the introduction. All I can do is tell you that I know a little bit about what's going on in his life, and that motherfucker is hanging on by a thread. Got to go back in for eye surgery, and I'm sure you're going to talk about that this week. But he's got a couple other things written down on his list, so hope y'all enjoy episode 10 of the Aggressive Whiskers Podcast. Coming up next for that ass. Bonus to the sky. For life.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Brett. It's Wednesday, March 30th. This is episode 10 of the Aggressive Whiskers Podcast. I probably should have done a less tongue-twistery podcast name, but I couldn't help myself. It's pretty much the only good one I had written down. I had a couple of other ideas that Adam and I could have done together, but since this is just me, this is what I wanted to do for my solo podcast. If Adam and I ever dust anything off, which yesterday we were talking about dusting off the old Hot Butter podcast, we were listening. He had recently listened to, and so therefore I listened to episode 220, which is titled Musky Corn Cob. Yes, Musky Corn Cob. And we both were like, man, we had a lot of fun. It was really good. It was entertaining. I feel like Adam and I had a good back and forth. We kept the pace of the show together. We were both silly. We were both serious when necessary. So it just reminded me how much fun we had. So again, we've discussed and are still discussing whether or not we dust off Hot Butter Podcast and bring it back or something else together. But for now, it's just me, just this old dickhead doing his solo podcast. And I wanted to squeeze one in this week. I know I just put out episode 9, but I wanted to do 10 because I do have to have another eye surgery. And I know I mentioned previously that I felt like I was just learning to come to terms with the fact, maybe I didn't discuss it on here, but internally I've been battling with whether or not I just accept the fact that eye, the eye that I injured, the eye that's had repetitive surgeries, the eye that was still healing, was never going to be good ever again. It was never going to be what it was. I was never going to be able to utilize it for certain things. It was just going to be my other eye that had a problem. And maybe I was wrong, and maybe ultimately that won't be the way it is. But today, as I sit here on this microphone, that every surgery I had last year has come undone. Every single thing. Everything I did to fix this eye, everything that I had to fix, everything that I did to fix my retina has come undone. The lens is still in place, although it has a cataract now. The cornea is fine. The pupil is still dilated, and the retina has now come undone. That's going to be the name of the show. Come undone. Not inappropriate come. Although, maybe, but not at this moment. I didn't write C-U-M. I wrote C-O-M-E. Everything I've done to fix this retina has come undone, and I don't know why. And the doctor doesn't really know why. He has his theories that he cannot confirm. But you can almost see the frustration in his face, his masked face. But you can see that he's frustrated. And you can see that he doesn't understand why. And he's assured me it's not something I'm doing, because I always sort of try to blame myself. Like, I must have done something. Certainly I would have done something. Maybe I went to the gym too early. Maybe it was that one time that I slipped on the ice and fell shortly after my first surgery. But he doesn't seem to think so. He seems to think that there was a tear, microscopic tear in the retina that he cannot physically see with the naked eye. And he hasn't seen, went in there, and he hasn't noticed. But after previous surgeries, the oil bubble would have covered that microscopic tear, preventing the vitreous fluid or any other fluid from getting back under the retina and causing it to detach. And then the second surgery, the same thing. The oil would have covered it because of where it must be located, therefore not allowing anything to get underneath it and keeping the retina attached. Now, the last surgery, we together, I most firmly, because I didn't want to have another follow-up surgery, we decided to put gas in my eye. So there was a repair done, retina reattached, lasering done. Everything was fine. A gas bubble was put into my eye to do the same thing, to keep the retina in place while it healed. But the gas bubble would slowly reduce over time. I'm pretty sure I talked about this in here. Would slowly reduce over time till it became nothing, and my eyesight would be whatever it was going to be for the rest of my life. With the exception of this cataract situation, which I would have had to have repaired at some point. But the theory is that when that gas bubble got to a certain point in its disappearing act, it uncovered that microscopic tear, which then allowed the fluid to get in the hole underneath the retina and detach. Now, last week at some point, it must have been last week, I started to feel, those watching the video on YouTube will see this, which, by the way, not many people watch this, but I record this on video and put it on YouTube, on the Aggressive Whiskers Podcast YouTube page. If you want to watch this on YouTube, you can do so. I began to see a shadow here on the inside corner of my right eye, which I've never seen before. The previous issues were on the outside of the eye. This was the very inside, and it wasn't always, and it wasn't every time I tried to see it. It was only certain eye movements could I see that shadow. And I was concerned with that because the one thing they always tell you is if you start to see a shadow, you need to come in immediately because it's a problem. But because I couldn't see it all the time, I thought it was my imagination. I thought it was my shit playing tricks on me. I thought maybe it was just the tip of my nose that I could see over there. And then Thursday morning, I got up and drove to Green Bay. And I would say Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is when I realized I had a serious problem. And of course, I'm out of town. I can't do anything about it. So I'm in Green Bay. The shit's like that shadow is now unquestionably there. And then as Thursday and Friday come around, the shadow becomes what can only be described as like, well, it's like a shadow because I guess I can see through it, so anyway, it's detached and it's detaching consistently. It's detaching now. I have a little shadow on the other side. So anyway, I have to go in for surgery tomorrow, Thursday the 31st, and I am waiting to find out what time that is. So if I have to answer the phone during this podcast, I'm going to do so because they're going to tell me what time I'm having surgery. So I'm having another surgery done. The third, 1, 2, 3. This is the fourth vitrectomy I'm having done in 1 year. 1 year ago on April 3rd, 2021, I hit my eyeball with a small piece of wood, which has subsequently caused me to have now my four eye surgeries, and I will probably never, ever see the same again out of that eye. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully it heals up nicely, and we'll go from there. So anyway, that's why I'm squeezing out episode 10 this week. Pretty much 2 episodes in under a week. That is a record for me on the Aggressive Whiskers podcast, and I hope that's okay with you. Remember, find me on YouTube, follow along. It would be nice to know that I'm not wasting my time because it is quite a process of editing the video and overlaying the audio. So anyway, whatever. I hope y'all find me on there and subscribe and follow along, and just another option for those who want to listen to the show or see this asshole record. I had a couple things left over from last week that I didn't get to. I'm going to get one out of my way right away. I'm going to start a website called Toe-My Goodness, TOEMyGoodness.com, which is going to be a link to my new other website called Toe-Nly Fans, TOE-NLY Fans. Obviously, this is a play on OnlyFans, and it's going to be all foot fetish material and toes, close-up pictures on toes. Great friend of the show, Mike of the Wheelbarrow Full of Dicks, God bless it, just broke my pen, is a huge fan of feet and toes, and I imagine Mike will be my first paying customer at TONelyFans.com or ToeMyGoodness.com, And look for that soon. I'll provide a link in the show notes for when that is live. And you can join me over there and take pictures of your feet. And just know there will be men and women masturbating to completion at those pictures at a later date. You know, there's a couple other things that are kind of serious, but something I was thinking about last week as I was eating dinner is we have this one fork in the house, and I don't know where it came from, but I imagine it used to be in the camper. So for those that don't know, we own a travel trailer or camper, and I use it for hunting season. So from September 30th through mid to late November, it is parked at a campground, and we utilize it for hunting. We travel to the campsite, we all stay in the camper, and we travel from the campground to the hunting property and back. And it's cheaper than a hotel, it's cheaper than a motel. It's got all the fixings. We can cook, we can clean, we can all sleep comfortably in there. I mean, mostly comfortably. But anyway, it's stocked because we rent it in the summertime. We rent it out. We have pots and pans and silverware and a fridge and a freezer and bedding and all that good stuff. And I think maybe one of the dollar store forks made it into the house. And I can't for the life of me understand why a caliber of fork would be produced at this level. It is so flimsy. Like, if you're going to make a flimsy fork, it might as well just be plastic. If you're going to make a metal fork, make a metal fork. And don't make it so small and dainty that it stabs my man paw. Make that bitch for real. Like you just took a slab of steel and softened the edges and put a couple of pokers on the front. And that, I want to eat off a goddamn sword. I want that bitch to be heavy. In case of an emergency, I could use it to stab somebody. Stop making wimpy forks. Nobody wants a wimpy fork, man. I promise you, nobody wants wimpy forks. Wimpy forks could also be a name for a person with little hands. Have you ever met that guy? You go to shake his hand, and if you're a real man or a real woman, you'll squeeze it like you mean it when you shake their hand. Hi, pleased to meet you, BRET. And you squeeze just to let them know you're serious. And they got them little wimpy forks that they call hands, that they hurt themselves picking up a peanut. Oh, I hurt my nail. I broke a nail picking up a peanut. I pulled a pinky finger zipping up my pants. Oh, I sprained my middle finger tying my shoes with your wimpy forks. Get out of here. No girl wants a man. No woman wants a man with wimpy forks. Get the fuck out of here. Get some real forks. Some man hands. Drag them on the concrete for a little bit. Scuff them up a little bit. Put some calluses on them bitches. Go outside and swing a baseball bat 1,000 times a day for about 6 weeks. Get some calluses on there. Go to the goddamn driving range and don't use a golf glove. Punch a wall. Go outside and punch the wall of your house. If it's brick, even better. Just punch it. Get rid of them wimpy forks. If they're small yet tough, that's okay. If they're soft and a little bit clammy and you look like you just got a goddamn manicure, you got them wimpy forks and you can get the fuck out of here. Nobody wants that. Nobody needs that. That's another problem with America today. Nobody wants masculine men anymore. They want these effeminate fucking questionably males. Who the fuck wants that? Everybody's like, oh, look at Will Smith. He protected his woman. Well, guess who ain't going to protect the woman? Guess who ain't going to protect the woman these days? Little wimpy forks over there. He ain't going to do it. What do you think he's going to do? Walk up and poke him in the eye? Boink, 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 boink. That's the sweet sound of wimpy forks poking in the eyeballs. I will say, eyeballs are sensitive. They could really do some damage. But nonetheless, this attack on this manly men, the aggressive males. There's an attack on this in today's society where they don't want it anymore. We're a problem. Those of us strong in our convictions and manliness, who smell like a dirty barn floor, who maybe, God damn it, I think they're calling me. I'm gonna have to take this. I'm also gonna leave this in. Hello, this is Brett. Hi. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Yep. Perfect. Okay. No. No. Nope. No. Nope. Unfortunately, this is my 4th surgery, so I'm pretty well versed in the process. I was gonna cut you off, but I didn't feel like it was appropriate. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Bye. Since editing podcasts is a nightmare sometimes, but it's more of a nightmare when you're doing video and you're overlaying the audio onto it, I'm leaving it in there. I don't even care. Y'all can suck it. You don't like that? Fast forward through the motherfucker. I don't remember where I was at. Oh, yes. Manly men. Men who smell like a pine tree or a cedar forest. Y'all don't want that. Y'all don't want it at all. You want some dude who smells like Joop with a J-O-O-P, which, sorry, Adam, I know you're a huge Joop fan. I think my dad used to wear Joop as well. Y'all don't want men no more. You want a little girly man. You want this, I'm not sure if that's a man. And it doesn't make any sense, because y'all who are screaming the loudest about how Will defended his wife, y'all are asking for somebody who would never do that for you. Now, I'm not saying that if by chance what Will Smith did was real, because I don't necessarily believe it. I've heard lots of arguments to and for and against. If you believe what Will did was real, and you believe what Will did was what you want in your relationship, then you do want a man's man. Although Will dresses real nice, it's because he's a millionaire. But he's apparently willing to do whatever it takes to satisfy his wife, even letting her get fucked by other dudes. But nonetheless, to scream from the top of the mountains that you want a manly man, but also not a manly man, y'all are confusing. Hollywood, today's society of today's young women. You want a dude who's got tighter pants than you. I saw a hilarious meme the other day where it was like women in the 90s, super tight pants with peg legs, short, whatever. And then dudes had baggy pants, and it flip-flopped, and it was now dudes are wearing those skin tight fucking pants, peg legs, and chicks are wearing baggy pants. Fucking weird, man. Figure it out. You either want a manly man to protect you and your family, or you are so fucking convicted, you are so strong in your convictions, you don't need a man, you want a wife. Marry a woman. If you just want a little dainty, frail sumbitch with wimpy forks, get the fuck out of here. I'm so tired of this attack on masculinity. It's disgusting. Because we masculine men will be exactly who you hope defends you when the shit hits the fan. It will not be your tight jean wearing, crop top shirt having. I almost made a joke about Daisy Dukes, but I have some pretty short shorts. Anyway, it will not be him. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you. You will be asking for manly men, masculinity when the time comes. And I don't know if it's to protect you from some negativity in your life. I don't know if it's to protect you from the government, who will inevitably turn on us, sovereign citizens, at some point. I don't know if it's to protect you against the invasion of another country who feels that America is now pussies and wants to take what they feel they are owed. I don't know what it is, but I promise you, you will be praying that there were more masculine men when the time comes. I will still protect the American soil at whatever cost if I ever have to. I will not question your preferences or your belief system up until that moment. If you need my help, I will help you. But I will call you out later on it, you son of a bitch. But so let's talk about this Will Smith thing, shall we? Because I really, really don't believe it was real. And I just listened to Eric Griffin's podcast called Riffin' with Griffin, and he was really, really, really adamant. And I see his point about in no way could this have been staged or fake or whatever. And now I hear him and I understand his sentiment. What his ultimate sentiment was, what does Will Smith have to gain by faking this? And my position is that I don't believe Will Smith did this for Will Smith. I believe there was a little bit of collusion behind the scenes because the Oscars are completely obscure and pointless today. In fact, had Will Smith smacked, had this not happened, I would never have known that the Oscars took place. Now, I don't have cable television anyway, but I still would have seen a news story or an article or something. I did not until I saw that Will Smith smacked Chris Rock. I believe the smack was real. I believe Chris knew it was coming. And I believe that based on the body language of the two men involved. If you watch the video, Will Smith smacked him like you would expect a scripted slap to occur. Chris Rock had his face forward as though he had no, and maybe, the argument could be made that Chris really didn't know Will was going to slap him, and that's why he was like leaning forward like, hey man, what's up? What are you doing? But his reaction to the slap, the fact that it had to be slowed down for me to see it, Will's posture, his body language, his approach to Chris's unwillingness to, as a man and another man approaches you like that, after you just cracked a joke about his wife, whether you think Will Smith is going to do something to you or not, you're not going to stand there with your hands behind your back. I mean, he's 57 years old. Dude's 16 years older than me. He's been around the block way more. He knows if a man is approaching you after you just cracked a joke about his wife that didn't go over well, you don't stand there with your hands behind your back. And that motherfucker stood there with his hands behind his back. And when that slap occurred and Will's got, his body's turned and his hand was so fast and Chris's face reacted so fast with it too. It just seemed very Hollywood. Yes, they were in Hollywood. Yes, they're both actors, but there was just something about the slap that I don't believe was real or unexpected. I don't think Will had anything to gain from it. I don't think he did it for himself. I think there was collusion involved. I think Chris knew it was going to happen. I think Will knew it was going to happen. I think the editors and the directors and the producers knew it was going to happen. Why did nobody come to defend Chris Rock? Why? Nobody rushed the stage. Will Smith was allowed to stay there and then receive an award. None of it makes sense. On a human level, none of it makes sense. Nothing in Hollywood really makes sense anyway. That is my opinion on the slap heard around the world. Like Eric said, the pursuit of slappiness. I just, for the life of me, cannot get on board with that being a surprise. I know Will is a cuck, and I know Will is softer than he used to be. And I think maybe if that was in fact real, he was trying to prove himself as being a manly man again after all the shit he's been taking for the last little while. let's say I'm wrong. Let's say by chance Will didn't know that was going to happen, and Chris didn't know that was going to happen. Chris Rock, standing there with your hands behind your back when a man is approaching you after you were just to crack the joke about his wife's alopecia and bald head was dumb. Will Smith, slapping a motherfucker on live television, dumb. You were thinking with your dick. Yo shit, dumb. Seriously, man, fucking stupid. You could have put him in a headlock. He's a little fella. You could have put him in a headlock and embarrassed him. Turn the tables. But you slapped him and didn't even look that good. Fucked up, man. But anyway, let's say it was real. I think if it were real, Chris Rock is going to go away forever. He's going to be unwilling to do anything. He's not going to be willing to go back on stage. He's not going to be willing to, you know what? I think I did read shortly thereafter that his ticket sales for his upcoming comedy tour have gone through the roof. And if he actually goes out on tour, which I suspect if it were real and he really didn't know this was going to happen, I suspect Chris Rock will cancel his comedy tour. I suspect that he will refund everybody's money. I suspect he will never do the Oscars again. I suspect he will stop doing public appearances. I suspect he will no longer be in Hollywood films. I suspect he will go into hiding like a recluse, and we will not see much of Chris Rock anymore because I think he will be insanely embarrassed. Will Smith, on the other hand, I think if this were real, is really going to suffer the most if he intends to continue his Hollywood career. I think he's going to suffer greatly if that were real. I think there's a chance that at some point we are going to find out that this was all staged. I really believe that. And no, I don't think he did it because he had anything to gain. I think he did it because the Oscars had something to gain from it. I think otherwise, nobody would be talking about it. I firmly believe that. And if you feel otherwise, let me know. Let me know in the comments on YouTube. Let me know in the comments on Instagram. Send me an email, aggressivewhiskerspodcast@gmail.com. Wait a minute. Maybe that's not it. It is. It's aggressivewhiskerspodcast@gmail.com. Not many people email me. People are listening to this. Not as many as Hot Butter, but we're getting there. This is also very new. I never announced it. I didn't announce this everywhere, so some people are still just finding out. But, there's a couple things that I want to talk about soon. ESG scores. The Florida's parental rights bill, which people are erroneously calling the Don't Say Gay bill. It actually has nothing to do with that. It doesn't say that anywhere. It, in fact, reinforces the state's position that on parental rights and is preventing people in schools and school districts from superseding anything that a parent would have to say, or it's actually getting them more involved. And I challenged everybody on Instagram, if you call it the Don't Say Gay bill, I'm 100% serious. If you can read that bill, all of it, it's very short. Read it first. Second, figure out why it's called the Don't Say Gay bill. You can't. You won't be able to based on what you just read. And number 3, come to me and tell me how it's a bad bill. I've heard that. I've heard other people challenge people that do the same thing. I challenge you. If you believe it's the Don't Say Gay bill and you support it, you support the overturning of this bill, if you support Disney's position on it, if you want to call it the Don't Say Gay bill, read it, number 1. Number 2, figure out why people are calling it the Don't Say Gay bill. It has nothing to do with that. And number 3, come to me and explain to me how it's bad. But it would be helpful if you're a parent. If you have children, do that. If you don't have children, it's hard. No, your pets don't count. If you have children, it's challenging for you to understand what it's like to raise other humans. So it's really easy for you to choose sides on a subject that you have no skin in the game. So if you have skin in the game, I challenge you, read the bill, tell me why it's bad. and figure out why they call it the Don't Say Gay bill, because there's nothing in there that has anything to do with that. It's all Hollywood propaganda and bullshit. Seriously, it's bullshit. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Oh, the ESG scores. I figured out why Chipotle. I think I figured out why Chipotle got. In 2015, they had an E. coli scare, and it was before they had a regime change at the executive leadership role. And I think it was probably prior to their ESG scores, really paying attention to it. And I think that a lot of people, the Hollywood elites and the politicians, were frustrated with how successful Chipotle was and how they were not adhering to these ESG guidelines. And they decided to sabotage Chipotle, subsequently causing a regime change at the executive leadership role, subsequently followed by an insane following of or adherence to the ESG guidelines and the environmental social guidelines and the scoring and diversity and all this other thing, to the extent that Chipotle sends out emails to their employees today talking about not hiding it at all. It's very plainly written how Chipotle is, adhering to these guidelines to promote diversity, whatever. But I believe Chipotle was sabotaged in 2015 externally, which then caused the company to change internally to be a more socially conscious company. And now, what has driven Chipotle's success and profitability through the roof? That is what I firmly believe today. And if anybody can prove me wrong on that, I'd love to hear that too. Anyway, thanks for sticking around for episode 10. We love you so much here at the Aggressive Whisker podcast. I got surgery tomorrow, so wish me luck. Talk to you later. Bye.